Sometimes you get a grunt, and sometimes you get, okay. Sometimes you say, not interested. It really doesn't matter because I'm not good at selling. I'm great at finding buyers. My closing ratio is 95% because 100% of the time when I get a meeting, Mario, it's their idea.
Welcome to the Modern Selling Podcast, where we help the entire sales community to create more sales conversations with today's modern buyer. This includes anyone from entrepreneurs and business owners to sales reps and sales leaders. Each episode, you will hear from sales leaders, practitioners, and influencers to help you find, engage, connect, and nurture your relationships with your buyers. I'm Mario Martinez Jr., your host, and you're now listening to the Modern Selling Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Modern Selling Podcast. And yes, we are live on the Modern Selling Podcast page, along with I've got my friend and a topic that I'm excited to talk about that we don't spend a whole lot of time on the Modern Selling Podcast. But I'd love to introduce to you here my friend, Mr. Joe Pici. Joe, say hello to our audience.
Thanks for having me on. Hello, audience. We're looking forward to getting to know you guys. And I promise you, I'm not going to hold things back. I will answer every question.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Now, normally, Joe, we call this the Modern Selling Podcast. And with that in mind, I generally haven't talked about or spent time on the phone, calling, cold calling, warm calling, lukewarm calling, hot calling, whatever it might be. But today, we're going to spend some time talking about that because while I do advocate that we want to engage in an omni-channel approach, part of that omni-channel approach to prospecting, to customer engagement, client engagement, absolutely includes picking up the phone and making a call. So I'm excited to spend some time there. But before we get into it, Joe, just do me a favor. Talk a little bit about your background. We know that you have your own sales, consulting, and business coaching business. You are well known in the industry as a top thought leader and sales speaker, sales strategist. And you actually host your own podcast, I think called the Sales Edge Podcast. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So if all my Modern Selling Podcast lovers, if you love other sales podcasts, go out and listen to the Sales Edge Podcast. But do me a favor, Joe, talk a little bit about yourself and your background.
Well, my background is Dawn and I, my wife, have been together for 49 years, been in business since 1992. And we got into this space by selling our way out of massive debt. And so we are of the belief that everything we train, speak, and coach on is what we have to do, but we really had to do it. We had our backs against the wall. And that was our transition into the sales training world that we have sold. I continue to sell today.
You've been doing this for a long time, and you also do sales training as well. Mm-hmm. And we probably should be thinking about having you make sure that you're one of our Vengresso authorized partners as well, and get you talking about some of the digital aspect. But as you and I have spoken about both on your podcast as well as just in our pregame show, if you would, about the importance of leveraging the phone. Now, I've got my personal philosophies that I want to go into about how to use the phone with my 22-year background, but you've been training this stuff since 1992, you said?
92, yeah.
92. Well, obviously very well respected and tenured in the world of sales. So excited to have this conversation. But before I get into our first question, Joe, I got to know something juicy about you. I'm looking for something that nobody would know about. Nobody knows. Even if they looked at your social profiles,
they
Joe,
would know. They wouldn't have an idea that for 20 years of my life, I was a football coach. 10 years of high school, 10 years of college. And in 1988, after a 9-4 season, driving down the highway, USA Today told me I had just gotten fired. And I found out that I got fired through USA Today. And honestly, I had never thought about business before that. That was the beginning of me thinking maybe I should start looking for something else.
Wow. So I don't mean to laugh, but I suppose, wait, so you read it in the paper while you were driving on the highway, or you heard it on the news, or tell me what you mean by
This
that.
is what happened. We were recruiting, and I recruited North Florida. It was a Virginia school. All the coaches got together for a weekend to decide who we were going to offer scholarships to. It was right before the holidays. And so now you're on your way home and you're going to do home visits along the way, meeting the moms and dads. So I stopped in Florence, South Carolina to call my wife. This is before cell phones, guys. This is before you had a cell phone. You had quarters in your pocket. And I put it in. I said, Dawn, I'm heading to Richmond. I got 2 home visits. I'll be home Christmas Eve. And she said, have you read the paper? And she said, are you sitting down? I said, no, I'm just standing here with this phone. She said, front page of USA Today, we've been fired.
What?
And Bo Schembechler, who happened to be alive at that time at University of Michigan, said that was probably one of the dirtiest firings he had ever heard about. But it was the beginning. It was I like to say it was a fork in the road. It's the first time in my life I thought of, would I ever do anything else?
Wow. And the result was?
The result was because of that firing, we showed up in Southwest Florida, $350,000 in medical debt, upside down financially. Somebody hired me as a high school coach for a mere $25,000 a year. Mm-hmm. We had babies in the house, and we had no way to fight our way out. Part-time, we signed up in a direct sales business, and using the phone, calling people I didn't know, not knowing what I was doing, we paid everything off in 5.5 years.
Wow. Fantastic. So you were forced, when you said you were forced to pay your way out with the phone, and then you've been taking that and you decided, how long after did you open up your sales consulting practice?
Well, what happened was, because there was not real mentorship or real training on skills on the phone, there was a lot of motivation, a lot of strategy, but there wasn't a do this, do this, do this, do this. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I remember one night I got 56 no's.
56 no's, not as in N-O.
As in hang up the phone. And this is the old days. This was when the phone had the little cradle on.
Yeah.
And this is before I started reading those How to Win Friends and Influence books. So I broke the phone and I was mad. And Dawn says, what do you think? And I said, there's 2 things wrong here. I'm calling the wrong people and I don't know what to say. So I began to dig and read and study, but really trial and error. And I started to build my own system of messaging and approach. So that started back then, okay? And then along the way, as we started training this, because when you're successful, hopefully people want to know what you're doing. They started putting us on stages around the world, and we started out in a keynote world. Okay. But you really can't train when you're keynoting. Keynoting is for wow factor, inspiration, big picture.
Yep.
So what happened then, about 2003, we were at a convention in Canada, and I looked at my wife and I said, if we're going to be the best sales training company in America, we have to walk away from keynoting for a while, and we have to develop that skill set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because as you know, because you do both, you do so many things. So we had perfected the keynote world, and then we moved into training. And what we realized was, in the beginning, we thought we were good, but what we were doing is really keynoting in a training room.
Exactly right. Yeah.
But then I started to look at sales, Mario, and I said, most people sell from charisma and talent. I had neither.
But that is a very humble statement.
Well, I wasn't the guy you invited over for the barbecue. I was a high D, A-type personality. I was very serious, very focused, and people felt that, You? Yeah. And so I said, Dawn, you can't teach charisma and talent. See, I can't teach people your smile. I've watched you speak on YouTube, and you're magic.
Thank you.
And people are inspired by you while they're learning. I said, Dawn, we have to create a system by which we teach processes, skills, and communications.
Sure.
We started drilling down. We wanted to be the best sales training company in America. We wanted to be consultative, but we also wanted 80% of our training to be on tactical skills.
Yep.
That's where we started going.
Interesting. Very interesting. So let's fast forward now to then. Phone was absolutely important, critical. 22 years ago when I started out, that's all I did was the phone. In fact,
Right.
I'm not even sure. I think we may have had email back then, 22 years ago. I think we had something called email, but it was phone and fax. Phone and fax. Those are the two, big things that we used back then. And now fast forward 22 years later, we're in a scenario where pretty much the world has gone from, in person to totally virtual, literally 100% virtual. And the phone is, yes, important, but now I look at it and I say, for us, like our sales guys, our phone is the third step in our cadence.
Right.
Right?
Right.
For us. Now, I'm
Right.
not saying everybody needs to do it that way. I'm not saying that the phone shouldn't be used.
Right.
Even though I don't teach anything about the phone. In fact, I'll be honest with you, Joe. In fact, our sales guys came to me and they said, hey, I need some help with, my phone script. And I was like, man, yeah, I'm just not your guy. I've built my entire career off of relationships and warming things up. Like I'm struggling, right? And so I'm going to put my customer hat on and I'm going to listen to you as if you were a sales rep calling me and trying to sell me our services, right? Or book a meeting. So this is one of my areas of, I would say, deficiency. Nonetheless, I would still argue, though, that the phone in its use and its popularity was here back 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, and even 5 years ago, it's slowly, but now fast forward to modern day, my opinion, based upon statistics and data, is that the phone is one of the fewer things that people are answering. And so in order to be able to make that live conversation successful, you got to warm it up. Now, I don't know if you feel the same way, but I would love to get your feedback. And then I want to move into some of the proper phone techniques.
Right.
By the way, we've got live sales folks listening in right now.
Good.
And they're listening in like, all right, do I make a cold call? Do I not make a cold call? Like, what do I do?
Let me say this. First of all, get the word cold out because there's no such thing as a difference between a warm, cold, or hot call. It just depends on the bridge statement you make. So-and-so recommended I call. But we'll get there.
Okay.
Let me give you my perspective on the phone.
Okay.
There's 4 things that you have to do as a salesperson to get repetition down. Many years ago, there was an article written called The Common Denominator of Success. And in that article, it said, what are the things you have to do every single day to play at the top of the chart? Now, I know this is years ago. It said, number 1, lead generation. Mario, I look at what you do, your sweet spot, your absolute, what you throw your fastball at better than anybody in the country is warm people up. But to me, that's lead generation.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Okay. So whether you're warming them up, the second stage is when you make the approach. I know a lot of people like to make the initial approach through an email, through LinkedIn, through social media.
Right.
I favor the phone.
Okay.
Okay. And, everybody says you read these books, they go, the best time to call people is between Tuesday and Thursday from 10 to 12. I have my highest success on outbound calls, booking appointments Monday mornings, and I've closed more business on Friday afternoons. I just don't tend to read books from people that don't sell. I'm sorry. Was that rude? I apologize.
No, not at all. I love it. Because I agree.
And so,
or the people that get all their friends and family to take them to the Amazon bestseller list on day 1, and then they scream out Amazon bestseller.
Yeah, I'm with you. And so I believe in working harder at your messaging. Like everybody says, you don't get return phone calls. When I go in and do a corporate training with the live calls, or next week when I'm doing on the 3rd day live outbound calls, we do it on Wednesday morning, the early morning. In the afternoon, I tell everybody while I'm training to leave their phones on. We never get less than 60 return phone calls.
60?
60. We never book less than 74% conversion to appointment from people that pick up the phone. And we never do less than 92% getting through the gatekeeper. Now, let me tell you why I believe that is. Because the way you have focused at being the best in the industry at what you do, not only do you do it, but you can convey it and you can teach it. And what we decided to do was, if this is going to be an area of expertise, then let it be an area of expertise, okay? What I'm also finding is unsolicited emails for us have a less open rate than a live outbound call.
Sure. Yeah.
And because
roughly about the same.
Right. Because we are proficient at getting through the gatekeeper, somebody's going to answer the phone. So without sounding, and this is not about, again, like you said, we got awarded the #1 sales trainer in the world by Global Gurus. But what was more important was our methodology got ranked #1. This is not about Joe. See, I have a run through the wall approach to life. I would make it work, just like you made it work years. But you can't teach sales across the board if it's about a personality. It has to be a system and a process. Or if you're going in to do training or people are coming to you, it's only going to work for the A-type personality.
Okay.
Right?
You're still on the make the approach, right? So give me some tips on how do we make the approach?
Okay, so let's say I'm calling a speaker, trainer, or consultant. I'm going to give you my script.
Okay.
Are you ready, guys? Write it down.
Here we go.
All right. If somebody looks at my LinkedIn profile, I got the kind where I can see them. I immediately see if there's a phone number. If not, there's a website. I call the website number. Nobody tell you, do not call the website number. There's a number on there for a reason. Somebody's going to answer the phone. So let's say a speaker, trainer, consultant answers the phone. Goes something like this. Ring, 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 ring. Hello? Who am I speaking to? This is John. John, my name is Joe Pici of Pici and Peachy. Is this a good time? Now, let me put in brackets. 99% of the sales trainers in America tell you never see if it's a good time.
Right.
They
That's
say
my
it's
perspective
soft.
as well.
They say it's soft. Quite frankly, it's polite. People are walking into the bathroom. People are in a meeting. So I ask them if it's a good time. If they say no, I say, great, what would be a better time? Here's what they always say. Well, what is this all about? That's the question I want. Mario, I specialize in helping speakers, trainers, and consultants take their intellectual property and talent and make money. And then I don't say another word. And I pause.
So you got your value proposition statement in one sentence.
And then I don't say anything, which is salespeople hate this.
Exactly. Drop the mic, be quiet, say nothing more.
And I don't care how long it is. I just stay quiet. And sometimes you get a grunt. And sometimes you get, okay. Sometimes you say, not interested. It really doesn't matter because I'm not good at selling. I'm great at finding buyers. My closing ratio is 95% because 100% of the time when I get a meeting, Mario, it's their idea.
Okay, so this is interesting because I'm gonna pause you right there because is this a good time? I've always been trained not to say that because it gives someone the opportunity to say no. But your when is a good time is a great follow-up. And then the next question is well, what is this all about? Right? So I love it. I never thought about it that way. Love it. And then, but what you say is, what you said is your value proposition is that you help speakers, trainers, consultants.
So if I'm talking to a speaker, trainer, or coach, if that's the vertical, because one of our verticals is we have a training to help speakers, coaches, trainers, and consultants not be better speakers. We help them to make money.
Sure, to monetize it. So
that's it. So that's my value proposition.
But our approach is the exact same thing. It's the value proposition mixed in with the business pain and problem. And if you've got that business pain and problem, we continue on in the discussion, right?
Okay, now, but I stop at the end of that sentence and I give them a chance to breathe. They are as uncomfortable as the salesperson because nobody's ever used to quiet. The secret to sales is you sell in the silence. You give them a chance to respond. And this is what they always say.
How long do you wait?
Until it's so uncomfortable, somebody says something. And normally it could be seconds. It could be 15 seconds. You see, one of the things my wife and we got certified in DISC many years ago.
Yep.
But
I'm
we
a high
took
D. Wait, am I high? I'm a high DI.
yes, you are. And that's why you're so good at what you do. You have the driver, but you got an unbelievable people skills.
Appreciate
So
that.
what we decided to, we took the disc model and we said, this is a parlor game. Let's make it application based.
Okay.
Let's make it apply. So we don't even sell assessments. We teach people how to read behaviors for what they are right now. Because I don't care how DI you are, if you're forced to operate analytically for that moment, you go to a C behavior style. And that's the way you process and respond to people. So therefore, slow-paced people take time to process. So salespeople that keep talking, what they're doing is they're violating their processing time, and they're going to get a no.
When you say they're violating their processing time, you mean
Exactly.
the buyer's processing time.
The buyer processing time.
Yeah.
So
Meaning
then
my
I'll get
process to be
something
able to
like
hear
this. Tell me more. Or what is this all about? And here's the secret. I'm giving you my secret sauce, guys. I don't give this to anybody for not any money, but I promised you I would.
All right. I'm ready.
Mario, would it be worth 20 minutes for me to show you how to take your talent and intellectual property and monetize it?
To take your talent and intellectual property and monetize
it.
Mm-hmm.
If they say no, I'm done. But if they say yes, they have just put themselves so far up on the qualifying time, then we're either going to book appointment or move into the appointment, which is like shifting gears. Then I start asking the questions about the pain, desired result, and timeline. But I don't start asking questions until I've qualified them. Let me tell you why I did this. Another secret sauce. I got tired of watching good people quit selling or put the phone down because they were taking no personally, because they would say something like, I'd like to have a few minutes of your time. That's personal. Everything I do is client-centric. So therefore, I'm allowing you to say no. You want to know why? Because I got another phone call to make. In our sales boot camp, of the 20 people I allow, 15 of them, the first time I called them was 4 years ago.
Wow.
I never throw anybody away. I never play games with them. I keep them in my follow-up funnel. Did I answer your question?
You did. You're basically taking this time. You asked them a question, the initial question, which was I help business consultants and speakers take their intellectual property and monetize it, right? So that you're actually saying how you help, and you're also talking to the business problem that may be going through their head. Because if in fact they are interested in making more money based upon monetizing their IP, they will say, to your point, tell me more.
Tell me more.
Okay. So we are so aligned because it is the exact same methodology that we use in a LinkedIn email.
Absolutely.
In fact, one of our sellers sent an email out a few weeks ago, and I just had a chance to read it because he sent it over to me last night. And I provided some feedback to them on that particular messaging. And this is perfect because this is the exact same thing that we talk about in our individual scripts. We open up with, hi, my name is Mario, as an example, or however you're going to introduce yourself. What I'm calling about is we help sales leaders create more sales conversations to ultimately grow their sales pipeline.
That's a value proposition. It's the same animal. You use that. I use the phone.
Yeah, exactly right. Different medium. I love it. I love it.
Every one of our product has a different market and a different value proposition.
Sure, absolutely.
All right. So let's say right now, one of the things we do is we do conflict resolution. Mario, my name is Joe Pici of Pici. Did I catch you at a good time?
Yes.
Mario, we specialize in helping companies reduce conflict, increase productivity.
Well, wait, can you send me some more information on that or through email? It's not a good time right now.
Mario, what would be a better time?
Wait, well, what's this all? See, what's this all about? One more time. Who are you?
Would it be worth 15 minutes for me to show you how you could reduce the conflict you're having internally, be more productive, and increase your bottom line?
I don't have conflict.
Fantastic. You know, Mario, have a great day.
Perfect. That's exactly. So that you qualified them, to your point, right?
Look,
I waste time.
I don't want meetings with people that are not in the buying zone.
Love
I'm
it.
gonna tell you how I got Nationwide Insurance.
All right.
Okay. I met some guy named Tom. We were invited to a chamber luncheon. My wife and I got invited. They were all women and Tom and I. Tom was a construction business consultant. So I go, hey, I'm Joe Pici. Who are you? He goes, Tom Martinez. Tom, what do you do? I'm a construction business consultant. And he keeps talking. He said, what do you do? I specialize in helping construction business consultants get more business. He puts his fork down and he looks at me and goes, you got to be kidding me. He said, well, how do you do that? I said, it's kind of noisy in here. Is it worth having a cup of coffee tomorrow morning about 10 o'clock for me to show you how you can attract and retain quality clients? Now, you want the story to be that he signed with me. That night, his best friend called him and put him on a retainer, and he didn't need it. Out of his integrity, he showed up. Sat down with him, and he never told me he landed that gig. Took him through my sales process. When I got done, he goes, last night I got the biggest gig ever. However, I got a good friend named Jose Cruz. He is the vice president of Nationwide Florida. They're looking to expand property and casualty and life. They need your help. Great. Gives me his number. I don't do what some people do. I don't go into a prayer closet. You know, as soon as he walks off, I picked up the phone.
You called
ring, 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 ring. Jose, Joe Pici of Pici and Peachy. Tom Martinez recommended strongly I call you. He goes, I have no idea who that guy is. I said, great. Let me tell you why I'm calling. I specialize in helping insurance professionals book more meetings, generate better leads, close more business. He goes, what am I supposed to do with that? I said, hey, is it worth 20 minutes for me to show you how to take back market share from Geico? He drove from Tampa to Orlando to sit with me. We did a 15-minute meeting. That started, now where these things go, that started a 12-year relationship. He left there and went with Chubb. I don't speak Spanish. And so we talk. He became a buddy, and he said, man, if you spoke Spanish, I'd have you in South America. So one Saturday, I get a text, 7 o'clock in the morning. Hey, I'm in Winter Garden, Florida, buying a motorcycle. You got time for coffee? Right before this pandemic thing. Right. We're drinking coffee and we're talking. I said, what are your biggest challenges right now? He said, man, we're struggling in South America. Why? They shut it down. Our people have done everything through walking in with the bagels and having parties and very social selling and emails. He said, we're not booking appointments. We can't sell on the phone. So I said, well, would it be worth 15 to 20 minutes for me to meet with you and your supervisor for me to show you how to recreate your messaging to make your people more effective on the phone? Sure. Guy from New York gets on the thing. We have our meeting. And the guy asked me a very important question. He said, Joe, is this you or your process?
What does that mean? Is this you?
He meant this. Are you successful because you're a bulldog? I said, no, it's our process.
Gotcha.
So we started working together. So what I'm saying to you is so on day 2 of our boot camp, or when I'm doing corporately, we work for 6.5 hours on getting so vertical where they know their target market, where they know what their benefit. We literally built such a scripting process that when we get on the phone, it's no big deal.
So you've addressed live phone calls.
Right.
Majority of our sellers
are
leaving voicemails.
Right.
And we've got everything from I call the person 6 times in a day to try to get them live and they never answer. I just keep calling them, multiple times. I call them 2 times in a row and then I wait an hour. I call them at 7:30 to 8 o'clock in the morning and I call them at after 5 o'clock. We call them on Mondays or Tuesdays or Wednesday, whatever the charts say, the algorithms say when's the right time to call, just to try to get someone live. My perspective is leave the voicemail.
Of course. I always do.
As a buyer, if you call me that many times and you play those types of games, I'm going to answer the phone and say, you schmuck, don't ever call me again. I hate it. That's me personally. Now I know it. I know it works, and some people do it. So,
But first of all, we always leave a message.
Okay, so then my question is what are some of the best methods for getting
Mario,
a return phone call?
this is Joe Pici of Pici and Peachy. I'm sorry I missed you. I know we're both very busy. The reason why I'm calling is I specialize in helping sales professionals get better leads, book better appointments, and close more business. My phone number is 407-947-2590. If I don't hear from you in 48 hours, I'll give you another call. I promise you that's the best call I ever came up with. And I personally have an 81% return phone call.
So in our world, for Vingresso, we might say something like, I specialize in helping sales leaders help their sellers create more sales conversations and ultimately increase their sales pipeline. And then what was the second part to get the call back?
My phone number is, I leave the number.
Okay.
If I don't hear from you in 48 hours, I'll call you again.
Okay.
Now, let me tell you the psychology behind that. I release them of all guilt for not calling me back. I'm also telling them I'm going to call them back.
Sure.
And when I do, Mario, I promised you I would call you.
You're teeing up the call. Now, mix in this world of digital.
Right.
As I mentioned to you,
right.
I like to encourage our sales teams to warm up that call, right? So I'm going to reach out and I'm going to look at your profile. We may connect on LinkedIn. I may actually send you in advance an email message, and then I'm going to follow up with that phone call. Like I'll have a couple touch points. It could be a text. It could be, but depending on if it's inbound, outbound, whatever case might be, I'm going to try to warm that up. Does what you just described still work the same way?
It will. It's touch points, but I'm also going to tell you this, that and I look, you are extremely successful, and your approach works because you believe in it. Okay, years ago, a guy from called Ascending Athletes. He puts on conferences. He's on contract with the NFL. He looked at my LinkedIn profile.
Mm-hmm.
He had no phone number on there. Right?
Yeah.
I went to his website. I dialed a 1-800 number. People say, don't ever do that. It's a waste of time. Mary answered the phone. Mary, my name is Joe Pici of Pici and Peachy. Andrew has been on my LinkedIn profile. Undoubtedly, it's very important. Is he available? Well, what's this all about? Mary, we specialize in helping athletes make their transition into professional life. He is going to want to talk to you. She put me through.
So this reminds me actually of something that my chief sales officer, Kurt Shaver, has been talking about. You know, we've made it big in several different verticals: professional services, cybersecurity, IT resellers, telecommunications. These are some big verticals that have taken off inside of Vingresso. And so what you're saying to me is making me think for our sellers, and I don't know if they're listening in or if maybe they're watching on Facebook Live right now. If they are, they should be blowing up Facebook Live comments right now. But what you're saying to me is if I'm calling, say, CRO, head of sales, whatever it might be, of the cybersecurity company, the insurance vertical company, the whatever it might be, instead of saying sales leaders, I should say to the cybersecurity company, we specialize in helping cybersecurity sales leaders.
Yes.
But if I'm calling the insurance vertical, we specialize in helping insurance sales leaders help their producers. So I'm using the vernacular that's in that.
Yeah. Here's the thing. You're like us. Even though 85% of our training is tactical sales, we work in every industry.
Right.
But whatever industry I'm calling, I specialize in that industry.
Absolutely.
Because when I train them, it's going to be very specialized to what they do.
Yep.
You know, I called the guy and got in front of him. And I'm sitting there. He goes, how much research did you do on my company? I went, none. He said, excuse me? I said, didn't need any research unless I got the meeting. He said, can you teach my salespeople that? He said, they waste so much time looking at LinkedIn, looking at websites. He said, they spend hours. I said, I'm not going to spend any time until we get the first base here. And the guy bust out laughing. He said, so what you're telling me is you saw my face on LinkedIn and you picked up the phone and called me. Yes, sir. And I said, because when I walked in this room, I asked you one question. I said, Mike, when I called you, I told you we could help your sales team improve the way they generate their leads, book quality appointments, and close more business. Mike, I asked you this question. Is that why we're here? And you said, yes, that's what I do, Mike. So here's the thing, too. I've had every conceivable type of human being in our training. Anything from 18, we had a 74-year-old grandmother, all right, who 3 weeks before the training was working in a bakery, and a man from church hired her.
Wow.
And this guy had been to my boot camp before. He owns the trade name Spider-Man because he beat Marvel Comics. He had been to big time boot camps, and he came to ours, and on day 3, he closed $250,000 worth of business. He calls me up. He goes, I need to send Mary to the boot camp. He didn't tell me what her background was. He said, I need you to help her pick up the phone, book appointments with CEOs of construction companies, and sell tickets to my licensing program for, he does water intrusion. So he does, through the University of Florida, he does that training.
Yeah.
I said, okay. And I send Mary her homework, and a guy from the NFL and his wife had come to the training. And here comes Mary. And I almost did something really stupid. I almost said, I'm sorry, ma'am, I think you're looking for a different room. Because she was a sweet lady. She was fully gray with her hair in a bun. And I said, my name is Joe Pici. She said, I'm Mary. This guy, Todd, from the NFL looked at me and goes, man, you're stealing money. I said, I didn't sell her this ticket. Her boss sent her.
Boss sent her.
But I'll tell you what. If she doesn't book any meetings on day 3, I'll give your money back. And his wife looked at him and she said, you can't do that. And I said, and I'm going to get your wife on the phone. He said, you can't get my wife on the phone. This guy, what he does, he does apartment complexes in Houston.
Yeah.
Well, we do the training. On day 3, we spread everything out so it doesn't sound like a call center, right? And I put Mary in the corner. I walked over. I said, Mary, you're going to be really good at this. She goes, I'm scared to death. I said, Mary, I'm great at this. I'm not going to let you fail. Will you please read our script? She said, yes, I did. She literally booked 12 appointments and sold 9 tickets. Every time she got off the phone, she went, oh my gosh, I'm scared to death. So I'm saying that because I don't want you guys to get the opinion that I'm saying Joe is great. We created a process and a system. We believe leading with the phone, and I'll give you my biggest reason today. Whereas most people say it's dead, it's become the competitive edge because people are not using it. Okay? Because people would rather not use it, it's becoming more effective. And now I got companies calling me and saying, you know how you wanted to work with our people on the phone? Well, our people have to be on the phone now.
Right. Sure. I want to go back to something you said about the research. Now, what's interesting, Joe, is one of the things you said is I'm not going to do the research until after I've gotten to first base, right? Which is I know whether or not there's interest.
No, the meeting, the discovery meeting, whether it's on the phone, through Zoom, or in the old days, face-to-face before the germ. My initial meeting is a discovery.
Philosophically speaking, love everything you're saying. The only thing that I disagree with,
right,
and let's talk about that for a second here, is in our training, we teach everybody what's called the 3x3.
Right.
3 things in 3 minutes. You learn about that individual before you pick up the phone. Understand, know thy buyer, right? That's really what we want to understand. Know thy buyer. Now, if you've got nothing that you can learn about that person through social media, as an example, LinkedIn, I'm completely like naked on LinkedIn. I got nothing on there. You can't figure out anything, much of anything. Then what you're looking at is you're looking for, you need to, the last resort is go back to the buyer persona. Understand the pain of the buyer persona. So if I'm calling cybersecurity companies, if I'm calling insurance organizations, of which we sell to, that's one of our large verticals, then I need to understand what are some of the things that have happened and are benefit to the insurance vertical so that I could speak to that potentially live on a call. because there are possibilities that someone may turn that conversation into an actual, that call into an actual real conversation that right then and there. So the only thing I would say is love what you said, but it is not above and beyond what a rep can do to learn 3 things in 3 minutes, especially if.
Let me, you're right. And here's my point. What I mean by research, I found this person on LinkedIn. I can see what they do.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
You're
going to take the time to look at it.
No, I'm sorry. 34% of our business is coming from LinkedIn.
Okay.
All right. But here's something I also know. Every company in America today wants their salespeople to close more, to get more appointments, and sometimes they don't have to generate their leads. Got it? They're generated for them.
Sure.
But I could call 1,000.
That ain't real sales, by the way.
Huh?
That ain't real sales, by the way. That's
right.
called inbound.
I'm with you. And because we really, our real niche and where we shine is outbound sales.
Outbound, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I know if I call 1,000 companies, 1,000 of us, they're going to want their sales methodology or people or whatever to generate better leads, book more appointments, close more business. That's just to get to discovery.
Right.
I have never called a company that doesn't have some type of arm in sales. All right.
Yeah, very true. But I think the problem is, though, in the industry, is if you were to line up, and this may be this is probably a great live broadcast. If I were to line up 100 sellers, I should probably do this. This is probably something I should do. Here we go. Line up 100 sellers, bring them on to a live broadcast like this and say, tell me in less than 60 seconds, 30, who do you help? How do you help, and what business problem you solve?
One would know.
Exactly right. And that's the problem, right? So if everybody was as good as what you just described, then maybe, okay, you don't have to research, but most sellers don't understand the pain, the solution that they have, what business problem it solves as it ties to the product that they're providing.
And we are 100%. Look, I go into sales-based industries where they are an insurance company. They're selling, and they don't know who their target market is. They don't know what the benefits are of what they really. Here's what's also happened in 20 years, but especially in the last 7. People have gotten so tied up with hiding behind an email.
Right.
They've lost their communication skills. They've lost their selling skills, and they've lost their messaging skills. So they're general practitioners. They tell you, they title what they do. It's amazing because we have 21 ways we generate leads. Believe it or not, the 2 ways, our 2 highest closing ratios come from leads on LinkedIn and outbound cold calls. Now, that's our model.
Yep.
You understand? That doesn't mean, and so when people work with us, here's something else. I'm not for everybody, and what I'm also seeing, there's so many companies that do not have your grasp of marketing. So they try to do it themselves, or they hire somebody that 3 years ago, they were keynote speakers and that industry dried up. And they have a big database, so now they're digital marketers. Kind of like in 2008, when all the keynote speakers at the National Speakers Association convention became social media experts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so for you, you're a rare breed because you're real. And I think the other thing about what you do, you're so concise. Dawn and I are not experts at what you do. You got it?
Yeah.
And most people aren't. And there's so many companies that we go in, and if we can help them sell, then we can refer them to you, because now, the thing about, I said to Dawn when we started, I said, Dawn, we have no pedigree. Nobody knows who we are in the world. We have to go in and deliver real-time results and build our brand there. So when we go in and they're getting real appointments, then what happens is the CEO walks in the back of the room and says, Joe, when this is over, can I see you?
Right.
Because this training has paid for itself. We never expected to get 50 appointments.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why, there's whether it's sales trainers that are focused on calling, from hello to close, social selling. There's all kinds of what I would call schmucks that are out there. Some of these folks that are out there, look, if you ask them, tell me what's the largest deal you've ever closed, they've never closed a large deal before. They never closed a multi-million-dollar deal. So how are you going to sit there and try to train me if you've never even closed those types of things? How are you going to tell me how to penetrate into my enterprise mid-market accounts if you've never done that? If all you've done are, as an example, in our space, we've got, 2,000 consultants that are out there. Now, some of them are good, and some of them are folks that have just learned how to teach people where to click and how to click on LinkedIn. Yeah, tell me the largest deal that you've closed. Right. That's what I want to know. Tell me about how you've been able to convert from the hello to the close and what you did in the sales process. Tell me that sales process and what that looks like. What I'm not looking for is someone that understands how to do, quote, social media. And the same thing that goes with just more and less sales training as a whole. What you've provided today is, I think, money in terms of how to use the phone to be able to get a response back and how to leave a proper voicemail. That is money, and everything that you said is exactly what it is that we teach on the how to use it for email and how to use it for LinkedIn messages and how to use it for emails. We are so aligned in that regard that hopefully people are listening in. They're like, all right, I got to figure out a way to get to Joe's training so I can develop my skill there, because I'll admit everything that I've done has always warmed things up, right? That's not my core forte, if you would. And also, if you need assistance in having the right messaging, you got to use scripts to be able to help you get there. Now, those scripts, though, there's some bad scripts that are out there.
Oh, yeah.
Like the one that just drives me absolutely bananas, is when you connect with someone. There are some consultants that are out there that say, normally when I connect with people, I like to have a conversation so we can see how we can mutually benefit each other. Are you freaking kidding me? No, you don't tell a CXO that. Ain't no CXO from any mid-market or enterprise organization is going to want to meet with you so you can figure out how you can mutually benefit each other. Wrong, right? And that's where there's a lot of I would call it schmucks that are out there.
I think the thing is, I love your approach on the LinkedIn thing because it's so authentic, it's clean. See, if I warm somebody up, it's that way. But what I do not believe is that a CXO, a CSO, whatever, they do not believe you really give a rip about their kids. So that's why I don't play games. I am always politely direct.
Yeah.
They know, and that's why my closing ratios are high, because it's their idea for the meeting. I don't get canceled on. I don't get no-showed. I don't get text 20 minutes before saying it's not a good time.
Yeah.
Because it was their idea for the meeting. I'm going to add something else for anybody listening that doesn't like rejection. This is how I got here. I watched good people bail out of sales because their scripting was personal. So if I say, Mario, I specialize in helping consultants generate better leads, book more appointments, close more business, and you go, I don't want that. You didn't say no to Joe personally. You said no to the result. It literally goes right by, and I live another day.
Exactly right. Yep.
We want to protect the salesperson as much as the person you sell to. This whole thing about, I love the word no. Nobody likes the word no.
Bah humbug on that one. Joe, I don't know if you realize, but we've been talking for 55 minutes, man.
I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. This is a fabulous conversation, and all of those that are listening in are getting great value from this. But I want to make sure we close with, how do people get connected to you? Is it Twitter?
Very simply. All right, you ready? Get out a pen. Number one, I am so about the phone. If you just want to call me for a complimentary cup of Joe, it's 407-947-2590. Okay. I'm on LinkedIn, Joe Pici. You'll know it's me because I'm kneeling down pointing at you. I'm always dressed in black. PICI. Our website is www.pici.com. And I got a free gift for all of you. So if you take out your phone and type in the word Sales Edge, one word, and text it to 55678, it'll hit a link. It'll hit a splash page. There are 2 free downloads, one on LinkedIn and one on sales. Scroll to the bottom of that. There's links to our podcast, The Sales Edge. So it's 55678, one word Sales Edge. You guys will have free downloads, but reach out to me. I'd love to have a cup of Joe with you.
And we'll make sure we post Joe's profile inside of our show notes. That's Joe Pici on LinkedIn. And my last and final question before we go way over here on this one is, Joe, your all-time favorite movie, what is it?
Rocky.
Rocky. Any particular one or all of them?
The whole Rocky series. You know, it's Stallone. I used to look like him 30 years ago. Actually, the second one is The Godfather.
The guy.
I knew that.
I knew it. I told you. I said.
Yeah.
That's what I knew. I knew it was coming. All right. Well, there you have it, guys. Joe Pici for on the Modern Selling Podcast. Joe, thanks for joining in with us, man. And for all of you listening in right now, stay tuned for this very important message. Thanks for listening to the Modern Selling Podcast. Please do me a huge favor and give the Modern Selling Podcast a rating and review on iTunes. I would appreciate it. Also, if you want to easily find our show, just go to themodernsellingpodcast.com. Hey, since you'll be on our site, be sure to check out our Modern Marketing Engine podcast hosted by my co-founder and CMO, Bernie Borges. Thanks for listening in, and until the next episode, good selling.